Welcome back to Movies TV Mad, and you can follow me on Twitter, of course, at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DCEU Daily. So, the MCU are moving all their 2022 movies around, and Disney are doing this as well with Indiana Jones 5 to a year. Wow! Why? Well, why am I talking about this? Well, we'll get there in a minute, and it is in, connection with the DCEU, so don't worry about that. Now, do you remember when Batman vs. Superman moved away from Captain America Civil War, and the MCU stands and the media and the pundits were making fun of Warner Brothers for being scared of Marvel? Well, this is what happened exactly yesterday. The MCU are intimidated by the 2022 DC live-action slate. Because let's look at that slate. Because whether you like their plan, whether you like next year's slate, whether you're excited for next year's slate, for any other studio, it's intimidating. But it's even more intimidating now because when the DCEU started, they had a director running a franchise. A director doesn't know how to schedule movies. A director doesn't know how to beat the opposition. And an auteur like Snyder just cares about what he's doing within the camera, within his film. That's the difference. Now you've got Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada running this baby now. And I tell you what, and Peter Safran. And by the way, Peter Safran's involved in the DCEU because his production company kind of co-produces these films. But I tell you what, his professionalism and the way he presents himself when he speaks about these movies, he would be a great DC film president himself. I really like him. He reminds me of Kevin Feige in the way he conducts himself as well. So Kevin Feige was asked at the Eternals premiere last night why all these movies are being moved around, and he said there's production issues and they're just moving them around because there's gaps. Really? Really? I was waiting to see what Feige would say about this. They are intimidated by the DCEU. There's no question about this now. What he said about the reasoning about moving these movies is bullshit, everyone. Bullshit. They are scared. The real Soups is a very well-known kind of person who talks about superhero movies and other movies. He said, now he pretends he loves everything, and he's a big Superman fan, but he's more of an MCU shill. He made a statement on Twitter yesterday saying, I can assure you the MCU isn't afraid of everyone. You're wrong, Soups. You're wrong. For ages now, even my subscribers have been saying, when is this DC movie going to move? When is this movie going to move? Oh, it's ever so close to that MCU movie, and that MCU movie, isn't this a problem? And if you remember in my lives, when I was doing lives, I said to you, no, it's not a problem, because this slate is so hardcore and so intimidating that they're not going to move them. Now, this is interesting now, right? Because I think Doctor Strange was originally very close to the Batman. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Everyone was saying the Batman should move. Why? Why? Why should DC movies move? They moved before because people had a controversial opinion about them, and there were issues, and the broader audience didn't warm to Snyder's vision. But that's not where we are now. The Batman is the most hyped, anticipated, looked forward to movie in the 2022 movie calendar. People are standing it. Batman fans, the broader audience, everyone's excited for this movie. They've seen the footage, the way Matt Reeves has spoken about it. This is going to be a movie that's going to make a lot of money. And by the way, people saying Disney are moving these films because of pandemic box office. There is no pandemic box office. We've seen that movies are making big money. Their own movie, Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings, made huge money. Huge money. The box office is back to normal now. And now, unless, because studios are informed by governments if there's a problem. Unless the government have said, COVID's going to be a real problem, more variants next year, you better do something about this. Maybe, but Warner Brothers haven't done anything. That's interesting. So I don't think it's that. They are intimidated by these 4 DCEU movies next year. And isn't it interesting, everyone? These announcements of these MCU movies being moved around were 2 days after DC Fandom and 1 day after DC Fandom China. What does that tell you? They're scared because finally the DCEU is run in the boardroom by proper people. Zack Snyder did a great job. I love his movies, but as I say, he was pretty much running the entire DCEU, and a director doesn't know how to PR and how to market, although he marketed and PR'd the Snyder Cut beautifully. We have people in the business side of the DCEU now who know exactly what they're doing. Peter Safran, Walter Hamada, and Sarnoff, and these are equally as good as the people working at Marvel Studios now. They've sorted their shit out. Since the Snyder Cut, since the controversy with Ray Fisher and Sarnoff and Walter Hamada and Peter Safran have got their heads down, announced project after project after project, and they are exciting projects. And Disney are now intimidated by DC because there's nothing they can do about it. And the only thing they've got to hope is that all these movies coming out next year are shit, and it's back to Marvel being the greatest ever and DC being problematic and inconsistent. But it's not going to happen, everyone. It's not going to happen. The Batman is going to hit hard. You're looking at $1 billion. What I saw from The Rock's Black Adam, sensational. That will probably make around 600, 700 million. Good for that movie. Low budget as well. The Flash movie should be great. It should make a lot of money. Hopefully the changes don't upset anyone. I don't think they will, because I don't think they're going to delete the Snyderverse. It's obvious now from what they were saying at DC Fandom China and the footage they were showing from the Snyder Cut to talk about the Flash. That tells you something. And then you've got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. But that's not it, because we've got another 2 movies next year on HBO Max. Blue Beetle, a very popular DC character, and Batgirl, an even more popular DC character, and we know Batman's going to be in that movie. And very shortly, I'm going to tell you why I believe Ben Affleck will be the Batman in that movie. And if Ben Affleck's Batman survives Flashpoint, that's a great positive thing, because we've got out of this disaster of what happened with the Snyderverse and the problems that Warner Brothers had with it and the problems Snyder had with them. If we can keep the Snyderverse and if we can keep Cavill and Affleck, I think Cavill's going to be the harder one because of his relationship with Warner Brothers. It's not a good relationship. Ben Affleck has still got a great relationship, even after the Justice League situation. And we'll be talking about Justice League and Gal Gadot. I've got a few things to say to Gal, about Gal, and to Gal, by the way, which some of you fans may not like. I love her as Wonder Woman, but her agenda isn't something that I support. But anyway, the MCU movies have been moved, including Indiana Jones. Was it Indiana Jones that was going to clash with the Batman? Is that right? Or another? Or was it Black Adam? They're intimidated, everyone. Please don't deny the obvious. If there was a reason, a genuine reason why they moved all their slate 2 days after Fandom, why didn't Kevin Feige give us a better reason? There's issues with production. What does that mean? What does that mean? What issues with production could you have? Matt Reeves had multiple interruptions with the Batman. He pulled it off. During those interruptions, within 2 or 3 months of that, not even that, he gave us an awesome Fandom 2020 trailer. So the pandemic isn't an excuse, everyone. Everyone knows how to make films within the pandemic now. They're scared and they're intimidated. What this means, everyone, if you're a DCEU stan and a DC stan like me, you will be very smug this morning, because this means they are finally intimidated by us. Now, before, Warner Brothers were intimidated by them, moving our movies away from them. But today, on this very day, we can be smug and say that the MCU and Disney are finally scared of the DC live-action universe, because the way we're going about it, the directors, the way they conduct themselves, people are excited. The mainstream audience are coming back to us. And the results of that are Disney moving all their Marvel movies around to get away from our movies for intimidation. Because as I say, it's a very, very intimidating slate. So we can move on now from Batman vs Superman moving away from Captain America Civil War. And we can say that this thing has turned away with the Avengers because no one at Disney wants to release anything big anywhere near the Batman or Black Adam or the Flash or Aquaman. This is very, very telling now. Now, I've made a prediction earlier that maybe the Flash will move to October or even earlier. Maybe it won't be as late as we think. Maybe because it's quite close to the Aquaman movie, but maybe they've done that on purpose. And at this moment in time, Warner Brothers are showing no signs of moving their movies around for next year. My next concern is announcing a 2023 slate, because we don't know what's coming in 2023. We need projects announced, we need to know where we're headed. That's the only thing. But apart from that, the traffic lights say green, the roses in the garden are rosy, they're smelling beautiful, and we've just seen Marvel being intimidated by the DCEU. Right, let's get to some more DCEU updates because this is very exciting. Jacob Scipio to co-star opposite Leslie Grace in Batgirl movie from Warner Brothers and DC by Justin Kroll of Deadline. Exclusive, Bad Boys for Life breakout Jacob Scipio is set to join Leslie Grace in Warner Brothers and DC Films' Batgirl. J.K. Simmons is also on board to reprise his role as of Commissioner Gordon. Now this is huge and we'll discuss why after this article. And Grace recently landed the role of Barbara Gordon. Scipio's Bad Boys for Life directors Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah are helming. The film will bow on HBO Max, marking one of the first major DC properties to debut exclusively on the streamer. Christina Hodson penned the script with Christine Burr producing. While plot details are under wraps, it is known that Barbara Gordon, the daughter of Commissioner Gordon, will be the character behind the cape. In the version, Gordon is the most established version of the Batgirl character and was first introduced in 1961 as Betty Kane. Details behind who Scipio is playing are also unknown, although he did go on his Instagram and confirm he's playing a villain. Very interesting. After making the turn as the main baddie in Bad Boys for Life, Scipio will follow that up with a front row opposite Sylvester Stallone in the next Expendables playing Antonio Banderas' son. He recently wrapped shooting the highly anticipated pieces of Her opposite Toni Collette for Netflix, and he also Waldo with Mel Gibson and Charlie Hunnam coming out also has the unbearable weight of massive talent. He is repped by ICM partners, right? So that's that. That's not the most interesting thing. It's the little segment about Commissioner Gordon. Now this is interesting. Now, apparently J.K. Simmons has been signed up to play Commissioner Gordon, Jim Gordon, in this film for a long time. Now, this is odd to me because it kind of hints that basically that Ben Affleck must be the Batman who the director said is going to appear. They said the real Batman. The thing is, Leslie Grace doesn't kind of look like someone who could be related to J.K. Simmons. That's the only thing for me. That's the odd thing about this. Maybe they'll say that she's adopted, I don't know. Or maybe they'll just go with it. Or maybe Gordon's wife, partner, in these films is of the same descent of Leslie Grace. There's a way of doing it. So it can work. But what it says with J.K. Simmons being confirmed as Commissioner Gordon, it's obvious that Batfleck is going to be in this movie. They've already confirmed Batman's in this movie. So that's exciting. I thought it might be Robert Pattinson. I didn't think it would be Michael Keaton. But the only way that J.K. Simmons playing Jim Gordon in this film doesn't mean that Batfleck is back if things change so heavily after Flashpoint. Now, I think this film comes before Flashpoint. Now that's interesting. Because if this film does come before Flashpoint, and I think they're only starting production now, so I don't actually know when this film will actually play. So it could be just before Flashpoint, just after Flashpoint, not sure. I mean, it's going to take them a while to make the film, right? So I'm not sure anyway. If it's after Flashpoint and something changes, but J.K. Simmons can still be Commissioner Gordon, but Batfleck's not there anymore, that is feasible as well. But at this moment in time, if you add 2 and 2 and you say J.K. Simmons is playing Jim Gordon and J.K. Simmons is Ben Affleck's Jim Gordon, then you must surmise and come to the conclusion that Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and Batman, Batfleck, is going to reprise his role with J.K. Simmons in the Batgirl movie. So very, very, very interesting. But at this moment in time, even though I'm saying that, even though I'm coming to that conclusion, still take it all with a pinch of salt, because that doesn't necessarily mean that Batfleck is the Batman. Because of the Flash movie and things changing all the time with this multiverse strategy, anything is possible. Gal Gadot reflects on Joss Whedon's abusive comments on Justice League set. Wonder Woman actress Gal Gadot reflects on the abusive comments that reshoots director Joss Whedon made to her on the set of Justice League in 2016 by Adam Benz of Screen Rant. Gal Gadot reflects on the abusive comments that Joss Whedon made to her on the set of Justice League. Gadot made her DCEU debut as Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, in 2016's Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, and went on to reprise the role the next year for her solo film Wonder Woman and the team-up adventure Justice League. After director Zack Snyder stepped away from the project, Joss Whedon was brought in to usher it through post-production and ended up conducting extensive rewrites and reshoots, much of which was not well received by critics or fans. Amidst an enthusiastic fan campaign that resulted in Warner Bros. Releasing Snyder's cut of Justice League, Cyborg actor Ray Fisher opened up about Whedon's unprofessional and abusive behaviour on set during the reshoots. Reports later revealed that Whedon threatened Gadot's career after the actress voiced creative concerns regarding her character, though exactly what was said remains unknown. Gadot did reveal that Whedon threatened to make her career miserable if she did not comply. Now, in an interview with Elle magazine, Gal Gadot is looking back on the abusive comments that Whedon made to her on the Justice League set. Though she immediately took her concerns to the heads of Warner Brothers, who handled the issue in a timely manner, Gadot remembers shaking trees as soon as it happened, since she couldn't believe what Whedon had said to her. Read what Gadot had to say below. I was shaking trees as soon as it happened, and I must say that the heads of Warner Brothers, they took care of it, going back to the sense of righteousness that I have. You're dizzy because you can't believe this was just said to you, and if he says it to me, then obviously he says it to many other people. I just did what I felt like I had to do, and it was to tell people that it's not okay. Other than Whedon threatening Gadot's career, he also reportedly spoke about Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins in a disparaging way on the set. Source also claimed that Whedon admitted to changing Gadot's character in a way he knew she wouldn't approve of. Gadot seems to be spot on with her "if he says it to me, he says it to many other people" comment, as Fisher's coming forward has inspired others like Buffy, the Vampire Slayer's Charisma Carpenter, to speak up about Whedon's verbal abuse on his sets. The multiple controversies surrounding 2017's Justice League have marred the DCEU for the past several years, though they appear to be turning the page with the release of the Snyder Cut, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and their overall new direction recently exhibited at DC Fandom. Though nothing was revealed at the recent event regarding Wonder Woman 3, they did mention it, but nothing else. Gadot will look to continue putting the Justice League controversy behind her with the DCEU prequel. But there's more to what she said. Because she asked the question, would he speak this way to a man? Now, or he said, would he speak like this if I wasn't a woman? Well, Gal, why don't you go and speak to your co-star, Ray Fisher? And this is the problem with all this. Gal Gadot was one of the last actors on that set to come out and admit there was a problem. Rumours were going around about this, and that she didn't want Ezra Miller's Barry Allen the Flash to lay on top of her for that gag, and apparently Whedon allegedly locked her in a cupboard until she complied. Now, we don't know if that's true, but we knew there was a problem with Gal and Joss Whedon. But there was a problem with Joss Whedon and most of the cast. I think maybe Henry Cavill is used to, you know, being brought up in the kind of theatrical, trained environment of the UK, you know, just to nod your head and smile. And I don't know, but I don't think he had issues with Cavill, but Cavill didn't do very much in the reshoots, and he wasn't there for very much of it. We must remember that as well. But the thing is that even Ben Affleck reportedly, you know, wanted to take all the crew and the actors and walk off the set. Whedon's behaviour was so toxic. So this is not just about Joss Whedon talking down to a woman. You know, ask Ray Fisher what he went through. You know, this is a man, and he's talked about it in the press, in the mainstream press, to the Hollywood Reporter, and whoever else will listen. So it's not just about, you know, a woman being bullied here, and this is the problem with people like Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins. Now, Gal Gadot is a great Wonder Woman, no question, and I love her as Wonder Woman, and I'm sure she's a great gal. See what I did there? Great gal. Anyway, this is not about a woman being bullied and nobody else being bullied. And I think this is tone deaf for Gal to say, if I wasn't a woman, would he have done it to me? Well, he did do it, Gal. He did do it to many other males as well. So this is not about some cowardly male director bullying women, and we know he has bullied women in the past, allegedly, with Buffy and Angel. But the point being that Ray Fisher got abuse from him as well. And so this is not just a female versus male issue, but this is the problem. We have an industry in the entertainment industry with just one worldview. A liberal worldview, an extreme left worldview. I'm a liberal myself, so I can say this with great confidence. When you only have one worldview in an industry, and that's the one you project on your content, there's going to be a problem. You're going to have problems being successful. And we see it now. Because I think the extreme left worldview can be very, very toxic and delusional. And that's the problem. This is where we are now. So she's come out and people are saying how brave she's not brave, because Ray Fisher, someone with a nothing CV, came out and kicked the door down of this and demanded an investigation. He's the one who put his career at risk. Not Gal Gadot, not Ben Affleck, not Henry Cavill, not Ezra Miller. They stayed silent. But once Ray Fisher kicked the doors down, they came out and said, yeah, this happened, that happened. Well, you're not brave, because he did it for you. As I said many, many times, it was actually really cowardly to allow your career to thrive, you know, while an actor with, you know, with no CV is the one being brave. But they're not going to call Ray Fisher brave because he's not a woman. And this is the kind of worldview in Hollywood as well. It was Ray Fisher who did the heroics, not Gal Gadot or anyone else. Now, I don't know why she spoke about this, and it's fine to speak about this. It's good to speak out. I'm glad. What happened to them on those reshoots was disgusting. What they did to Zack Snyder in the first place. If they didn't force Zack Snyder to leave in the first place, allowed him to finish his arc, and then we would have been where we are now anyway. It would have been a cleaner way of doing things, and we wouldn't have the issue of the reshoots, making a director finish off a movie on the same schedule as the previous director. It's nuts, and having a director having to work with people he never cast. It's nuts. But this is not a toxic male versus, oh, a female victim, Gal. And this is the problem. This is these people's mentalities. Now, we've got a great day on Thursday. It's the 80th anniversary of Wonder Woman. But these people use that as an excuse to put men down and talk about strong, independent women. And there lies the problem with one worldview in an industry. We need balance. And there's no balance in this industry right now. And finally today we go back to one of the most exciting DCEU movies for next year, the movie that's going to change the whole franchise, The Flash. Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck got emotional donning Batsuit for The Flash. The Flash producer Barbara Machete says that Batman actors Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck both got emotional wearing the Batsuit once again, by which you'd think of Screen Rant. Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton both got emotional while putting on their bat suits once more in The Flash. The upcoming DC movie sees Barry Allen, Ezra Miller, in his first solo film that is teased as a multiversal epic that will see the Flash travel to various different realities. Barry will be joined by the Batman of the DCEU, Ben Affleck, as well as another Batman one audiences will recognise from the 1989 Batman film and its sequel, Batman Returns, with Michael Keaton reprising his role as Batman. Both actors had famously walked away from playing the Caped Crusader. Keaton turned down reprising his role in Batman Forever, citing issues with the script. Yeah, unsurprisingly. Affleck had a rocky road playing Batman, as the combination of the poor word of mouth on Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, a great movie by the way, the troubled production of Justice League, and his own conflicts over developing a solo Batman movie led to him to depart the role. And DC shifted focus to Robert Pattinson as Batman. However, both actors were announced to be reprising their previous Batman roles for The Flash, and Affleck even helped participate in reshoots for Zack Snyder's Justice League. In regards to both actors' feelings on returning to Batman, the Flash producer Barbara Machete told comicbook.com in an interview that both actors had a great time coming back. She said that given Batman's dark nature, it means an actor tends to put the role behind them. And while both took a bit of time to open up to the idea of reprising their role, when they did, they were both emotional about the return. Machete said it was a great experience for both the crew and the actors involved. Read Machete's full quote below. Batman is a very dark character. I think once actors play the role, they are done. I think this was a bit of a surprise for both of them. It took them a while to warm up to the idea of reprising of playing this character again, especially Keaton. Keaton had not been Batman for 30 years. It was amazing to see that both of them, both Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton, got quite emotional at coming back once they were with us. And they got to put on the cowl and the cape. I think they both felt the small joy that comes with playing that character and had fun with it. It was a great experience. That's great to hear, isn't it? Both actors reprising their roles is likely to be a major moment for audiences. By the time The Flash opens in theatres, it would have been 30 years since the release of Batman Returns, and Keaton's return to Batman. It's akin to Jamie Lee Curtis returning for Halloween or the original cast returning in Star Wars sequel trilogy, providing audiences with a chance to catch up with an older incarnation of a character they thought they may never see again. Affleck's reprising his role as Batman allows the actors and fans of his incarnation of the character one proper final adventure that the creators know in advance will be the end of the actor's tenure. We don't know that. We don't know that. Both of these actors may survive in this role to tell more DCEU stories, but they may not do. One of them may die. I think it's looking apparent now that it's Keaton's Batman that's going to die, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, they could both be deleted from the timeline. We'll have to wait and see. So where are we? It's his incarnation of the character, one proper final adventure that the creators know in advance will be the end of the actor's tenure. Similar to No Time to Die being planned as Daniel Craig's final James Bond picture. What happened to Bond in that film? Shouldn't have happened to Bond in that film. They made him into a beta male, un-James Bond-like character because, again, we have an industry with one toxic worldview. The presence of both Batmen has led to much speculation about the future of the DCEU and what could happen after the events of The Flash. With Robert Pattinson's incarnation of Batman taking place in his own reality, the fate of Batman in the DCEU is still unknown, as it is likely this will be Affleck's final appearance as Batman. Don't bank on it. Keaton, on the other hand, is rumoured to be sticking around as Batman. I think it's the other way around. That's my theory. With his incarnation of the character becoming a Nick Fury type of character for future films? I don't think so. I think it's Batfleck who's going to be the Nick Fury kind of character for DCEU movies. We'll have to wait and see. However, Keaton is also busy as he will be reprising his role as Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, in the upcoming film Morbius, which is already shot, which could have connections to future Spider-Man movies and possibly the MCU. Keaton may be having to split time between the MCU and the DCEU. What's the difference between doing that and making movies? He's already played Toomes. He's already shot those scenes, so it makes no sense. Basically, if you're a hardcore Batman fan, and I'm a Batman fan, not a hardcore Batman fan, you know, Superman's my dude at the end of the day, but I love Batman. In 2022, we are going to be fed well. Michael Keaton's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman in The Flash. Robert Pattinson's brand new The Batman movie. That looks amazing. Then we've got Batman in Batgirl as well. And Batgirl's part of this universe as well. So as I say, if you love the Bat family and you love live action Batman, you're going to be fed fucking well. So it's absolutely fantastic. And this is why the MCU and Feige are now very intimidated. And I'll just finish off on that very subject. The problem Disney have, I mean, I'm impressed that they brought in Chloe Zhao, you know, an auteur to do Eternals. Apparently it's getting mixed reviews. I'll have to have a look at those reviews. If they've come through yet, I'm not sure. And kind of retweet them and give my opinions. But that's why I was impressed by that, because Feige's got a problem. He's working with Disney. Disney and himself just want to keep on doing what they're doing, allowing the audience to chew the same gum that runs out of flavour very, very quickly. Where DC are doing something a little bit more exciting as far as I'm concerned. So Feige's trapped in this, let's make movies for families. When someone dies, let's quickly have a gag because we don't want people to say we're too dark and too serious. Well, the Batman can have Batman beating the shit out of someone and everyone in the fucking cinema going, yeah, yeah, you know. That's the difference. It's been entrenched with us with WB's superhero franchise. Even BVS and Man of Steel, which were criticised for being dark, have got many fans for being so. I think after the Batman, sweet little movies that just make you giggle and tickle you under the chin will no longer be passé and fashionable and the thing to do anymore. I'm telling you, the DC live action universe is the one everyone's going to love and everyone's talking about. And the moving of the MCU schedule for 2022 tells you how intimidated they are. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. I will see you again tomorrow for more DCEU Daily. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection, and I'll be back tomorrow with more DCEU Daily. Until then, goodbye, stay safe.